Welcome back. You're listening to the discussion Innovation in Government, sponsored by Carasoft on Federal News Network. I'm your host, Jason Miller. My guest today is Eric McGrane, a growth leader for the Defense Enterprise Services sector at GDIT. Eric, we spent that first segment talking a lot about MilCloud 2, understanding how it works, why it works, what's important about it, what people are looking for from a DoD perspective. The one thing we didn't touch upon, and maybe that's where we start our conversation for this segment, is, okay, I want cloud. I know I can go to the platform, I can turn it on, but then what happens? How do I go from wanting cloud and be able to turn it on to actually using cloud and making this work for me? The transition from on-prem or a different cloud to MilCloud, how does that work from your perspective?
So yeah, great question. I think one of the things that DISA has done, right, the Defense Information Systems Agency, with this contract, is they've created a very clever contract because they included the use of consulting services as part of the contract. Consulting services for cloud could be application refactoring, architecture planning. It could be an applications rationalization, like which one should stay on-prem, which one should stay in the data center, which ones could go off-prem. They created this contract where not only can you MIPR funds easily to buy cloud, you can also MIPR funds easily to get labor and to get that expertise to help migrate your applications. A lot of contracts out there only allow you to resell AWS or Azure or resell cloud in general. Ours is unique in that we can do that. And so with that special ability, we have customers have their current systems integrator or their current service provider doing application work. Maybe that works. But we find a lot of customers would have to then would have to do acquisition planning, let a contract for a 6-month application migration task, compete it, and before you know it, they've lost a year, right? So this is a wonderful opportunity for customers to utilize that. Now, in recognizing that, what we've also done at GDIT is we've partnered with trusted, other service providers out there in the DoD. Companies that have niche capability for VMware or AWS that have done, loads and loads of application migration. One, because it extends our bench and it extends our ability to service more customers at once, and it also extends our reach, right? Because we have this wonderful contract in cloud, but there are customers all over, and there's not enough GDIT to hit every single customer out there. And so by partnering with these companies that have boots on the ground in other places, we've actually extended our reach as well.
Do you find that as you talk to customers, they understand that that consulting services piece is built in, or is that the biggest area where you're doing most of your explaining? Like, they got MilCloud 2.0, we get it, we're going to the cloud. Oh, how do I get there? Oh, wow, I didn't realize I could do that too.
So that's a funny one. We actually have a lot of customers that don't believe us. They say, no, that's too easy. And there's this wonderful woman at DISA who has spent probably weeks of her job talking to other contracts officers and KOs across the DoD to say, no, really, it is that easy. So we actually have quite a lot of customers that when we tell them about this, they don't believe us. And we actually have to spend some time saying, no, this is really a part of the contract. We really can make it easy. That's kind of funny.
And so is the DoD organization, would they send money to, I guess the question is, all that money's tied up in one buy, right? I'm going to move to MilCloud 2.0 and I'm buying the consulting services from company XYZ.
So customers send a MIPR in, and the MIPR could say 4 cloud services. And then what's nice is that business portal allows the DoD to generate their team. So, I can go in and say, here's my team, Jason's in charge of the finances. And so everything can be done as a team. And so what we see customers doing is they'll put a MIPR in for $1 million. And then they'll start slicing it off. I'm going to put a little bit for storage, I'm going to put some for Oracle, I'm going to put some for consulting services. And they have the ability to do that very dynamically, day to day, week to week, by the drink, right? So one MIPR can cover, a litany of services.
I think that's really important because people, if they hear, wait a minute, I have to send the money for X, and then send the money for Y, and then send the money for Z, they're gonna be like, it's too much complexity. I don't have time for all that.
I explain it to people like you're opening a checking account inside of the MilCloud portal, right? We bill back for consumption and for usage, right? Consulting services packages are billed for a day, a week, or a month, right? It's all units. And so a customer opens a checking account, and then how they spend that checking account for their cloud is for their mission, and it's for them to determine.
You brought up the pay by the drink. I think that's another important piece here. One of the things that we've heard about over the last 10 years when we've talked about cloud is, how do we get to there? I know, for instance, the General Services Administration is putting out a a change to their internal acquisition regulation that talks about how to buy cloud that way. Are you all able to, through MilCloud 2.0, enable that pay-by-the-drink model?
Yes, we are. So everything is done by consumption. But I will say that there are some hiccups every now and then with the way that the FAR is written and the acquisition process, especially as it relates to cloud and how cloud is done. So we do run across those hiccups, but I think that's one of the value adds with GDIT is that we're on the front lines with VMware, with AWS, and with all these cloud providers going through this together and really helping the DoD find a better way to do that.
And I imagine that if you're putting that $1 million into that checking account and all of a sudden it's down to $100,000, some alarm bell goes off and says to the person in charge, hey, you're running out of money.
Right.
You may want to put more money in. Or, hey, your services are going to be cut off in 30 days or whatever the time is. Imagine there's that's built in.
It is built in, and that's one of the reasons why, back to GDIT supporting the warfighter, we have all those controls in so that customers on a moment's notice, at their will or whim, can go in and see, am I burning cold? Am I burning hot? How's my MIPR going as it relates to this cloud spend? Back to the on-prem piece, it's less dynamic or volatile, so it's a little bit easier to budget. But we have that capability for whatever services that you want to provide.
There's also, that becomes a workload discussion, and I think when you talk about refactoring or application rationalization services, understanding what you're trying to push to the cloud and what that cost is going to be is really key. Is that part of that the discussion that you're having with customers, is understanding not just you can use the cloud, but whether you should or shouldn't, and how, and what makes sense?
Right. So the contract guarantees customers 2 free technical exchange meetings, right? It's guaranteed. We have customers that come and meet with us and we go through all their applications, look at it, and a customer will say, you know what, this isn't for me. I want to go do something else, right? That's one of the wonderful things about the contract is it allows customers to come to you without being charged, to go over their cloud environment, to go over their planning, and to figure out what's best. And sometimes we are the best contract for them, and other times they want to go in a different way.
Nice. We brought up DISA, and you mentioned the person at DISA who has to tell the contracting officers. I think that's significant because it's a bigger discussion around the partnership that you've had with them. Obviously, they couldn't have done this without GDIT, and vice versa.
Correct.
You couldn't have created the MilCloud without DISA. How has that partnership evolved over the last couple of years?
So it's a wonderful partnership, and when I think about partnership in its truest sense, we're a service provider partnering with a service provider to enable the warfighter, right? Like DISA's mission and our mission is the same. We want to, Army, Air Force, Navy, DISA customers, internal DISA. We're providing a service for them that's critical for their mission, right? And so the connectivity that we have with DISA, whether it's Courtney and the PMO or Faith Perry, the woman I mentioned who is constantly helping us call customers and say, no, really, it is that easy. Or if it's their leadership up through, Major General Yee, Sharon Woods, Lieutenant General Skinner. Everybody's on board to deliver a world-class service here. Yeah. And it's a partnership we value.
And I think going forward, as more agencies are coming to DISA, what I've seen is DISA has been a big of a cheerleader for MilCloud as GDIT has, which is important because if you don't have that customer support,
right?
we have these people over there, then it's not as successful.
And DISA is in a really unique place to serve the DoD with cloud right now because the CCPO that was under the Cloud Computing Program Office underneath Dana Deasy shifted to DISA, right? That was run by Sharon Woods, and now Sharon Woods is in the reorganization is in charge of MilCloud 2, the new JWCC, right? In the aftermath of JEDI, and so DISA has a real chance to be a real leader in cloud and to partner across their contracts and their offerings to really serve every customer for where they're at.
We've talked a lot during our conversation about the current state of MilCloud 2.0. Like over the years we've seen, there's an evolution. GDIT's got to and DISA's got to continue to evolve the offerings, the MilCloud. Where do you see the short-term changes coming for MilCloud 2.0, maybe even 3 to 5 years from now? Where do you think it's heading?
Well, IL6 is going to be a big one, and we're going to see a lot of demand and a lot of workloads coming there for sure. Commercial cloud providers and the capabilities we offer with VMware are always going to be increasing. We have, for instance, people are talking about software factories, sandboxes, standing up, development and having, development production, right? That's a place where we can expand and be more innovative and offer more. I would talk about containers, right? Container strategy is a huge thing going on inside the DoD right now. Common services is another one, right? The SCCA landing zones, the ability to actually put an application in an ATO'd secure place, right? And having those common services delivered in such a way where the cost is shared by many mission partners, not one mission partner paying each time. And then things like AWS Marketplace, right? Things that you can buy commercially, right? That's where the biggest demand I see is customers can go online on their home computer and access this wide variety of a marketplace. Having that ability inside of our portal is an ideal state where whatever that customer needs or wants is right there at the push of a button.
We've seen a lot around software factories and container strategies. So let me start maybe there real quick is with what's happening with, for instance, Air Force and Platform One and Cloud One, and what you're seeing the software factory at Army Futures Command and Kessel Run. Is that something that you're looking at saying, okay, how can we complement what's happening there or borrow, beg, steal from them? What's the conversation around software factories, or is it still in that early stage?
So we're well aware of what Cloud One's doing, what Army ECMA's doing, and believe it or not, we actually talk with them a lot, right? So if they've got a good capability that's worth copying, let's copy it. If they've got a good capability that stands on its own, let them do that. We're trying to fill the gap of what the DoD needs. I would say that we're all in it together to help customers enable their mission, right? So from a container strategy, there's a customer in the Army that has a particular use case need that's not met, right? Everybody's got something unique, right? And so looking at that and seeing what other customers could we pull together to form a coalition to make that, the kind of offering that people would demand.
I think we also brought up the ATOs and security side of it. And I think that's one of the big benefits of something like MilCloud 2.0 is it's already been through ATO. It's already a platform that's been approved. So now all you have to worry about is that application perspective getting ATO'd, and it really is going to save you a ton of time instead of having to buy new or build new and then add the application on top. Is that the other kind of maybe not unintended, but benefit that you're explaining to your customers quite often?
Yeah, and it's one that's coming up with the DoD CIO OCONUS group right now, right? We have this platform, it's ATO'd at IL5 and
getting towards IL6.
IL6 any day. And can we take that and cookie cut that for an OCONUS option, right? Are there use cases for OCONUS where we could reuse that, right? JADC2's looking at it. Is there a way where we can take this ATO with reciprocity, right, and enable JADC2 to move out even faster? Like, MilCloud 2 on-premise fills a need for the DoD. Not the whole need, right? There's a lot of off-prem, there's a lot of AWS and Azure out there, but we have a role, right? And we can take what we've done, we can take that ATO, those investments and all that, to deliver that quickly for our customers. And honestly, DISA in itself, and back to that partnership, they've made it really easy to innovate on this contract. The CCP process, we call it a contract change proposal, in addition to this labor that DISA was thinking ahead of time with and saying, this is a good offering, they put this CCP process in, which allows us to say, hey, the future of cloud is moving. Customers are demanding something new. And through this CCP process, we can actually go to DISA and say, here's something our customers want, here's what it would be, here's how we'll do the security, and here's what it would cost. And so we're constantly adding new things to the contract based on what the demand of the mission partners are.
And I think you have to, right?
Yeah.
You can't be static, and it's a dynamic, changing environment, so you have to change with it.
Right. It's a commercial. I mean, they want a commercial service.
There it is.
And you've got to be there to meet them where they are.
All right. And it obviously sounds like you guys are doing a nice job. So, Eric, I really appreciate our conversation. Unfortunately, we are out of time for today. So let me thank my guest. Eric McGrane is the growth leader for the Defense Enterprise Services sector at GDIT. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Jason Miller, and you've been listening to the discussion Innovation in Government, sponsored by Carahsoft on Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search innovation.